The rain hammered down on the streets of the city, turning puddles into mirrors that reflected the neon glow of the signs above. Mara Whitmore's umbrella had long given up the fight against the wind, and her coat clung to her like a second skin as she hurried down the slick sidewalk. She clutched her phone in one hand, her fingers trembling, not from the cold, but from sheer exhaustion. I just want to see my balance," she whispered to herself, staring at the app that had refused to load for the last 30 minutes. Every dollar mattered, every cent. And right now she had neither, not in a way that made her feel secure. She ducked into a small, high-end cafe to escape the storm. The place smelled of roasted coffee beans and vanilla pastries, a stark contrast to the damp, bitter city outside. Her eyes scanned the room nervously. Most of the patrons were clearly affluent, laughing quietly over lattes and laptops, their screens filled with numbers that made her feel invisible. Mara's heart sank. She had been working 2 jobs, skipping meals, doing everything right, or so she thought, and yet she still didn't know if she could cover her rent this month. At the counter, a tall, impeccably dressed man with a perfectly tailored suit looked down at her with a small, amused smile. His presence radiated wealth the way sunlight radiates warmth. "Can I help you with something?" he asked, his voice smooth and confident but not unkind. Mara swallowed hard, feeling suddenly self-conscious in her soaked clothes. Yes, I just need to check my bank account," she said, holding out her phone. "I know it's silly, but Her voice faltered. She avoided his eyes. The man, whose name was Gregory Alden, laughed softly, a sound that made Mara's stomach twist in embarrassment. "You want me to check your balance? That's unusual," he said, still smiling. Mara's cheeks burned. She had imagined this 100 times, being laughed at, being dismissed, being told she didn't belong. But there was something in Gregory's eyes that made her hold on anyway. He gestured toward a tablet on the counter. "Here, let's see this miracle of yours." Her fingers shook as she handed it over. Gregory swiped and Mara's chest tightened. She braced herself for the worst. But when his eyes landed on the screen, his laughter froze. His eyebrows shot up and he leaned closer, eyes wide in disbelief. This can't be real," he muttered. Mara looked at him, puzzled and terrified at the same time. I don't understand," she said softly. Gregory's gaze flicked between her face and the tablet. Mara had been living day to day, paycheck to paycheck, struggling to survive, yet somehow the balance displayed on the screen told an entirely different story. There were zeros, yes, but in a different sense, zeros that belonged to the way she had imagined life, not the cruel reality. A transfer error, a missing deposit, yet she had thought she was completely alone. She blinked, hoping she was reading it wrong, but the numbers were clear. Somehow, the universe had intervened in a way that she didn't understand. Gregory finally spoke, his voice gentle now, stripped of that initial amusement. "Mara, you're not just lucky, you're chosen in a way." Mara's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't tears of shame, they were relief, disbelief, and hope all rolled into one. "I don't know what you mean," she whispered. The millionaire's smile softened. "Sometimes the universe notices people who are persistent, people who try and try even when everything seems impossible. You are one of those people." Mara sat down at the nearest table, her hands clutching the tablet as if it were a lifeline. Gregory placed a small cup of tea in front of her, and for the first time in months she felt seen. Seen not as a problem, not as someone to pity, but as a person with resilience, with dignity, with a story worth noticing. "I know it's strange," he said, pulling up a chair, "but I want to help you. You've been working so hard, and I think you deserve a break, a real one." The hours passed as they talked. Mara found herself telling Gregory things she hadn't told anyone. The fear of eviction, the guilt of not being able to help her younger brother, the constant anxiety of wondering if she was doing enough to survive. And he listened. Not as a wealthy man judging a struggling woman, but as someone who truly understood what it meant to fight against odds that seemed insurmountable. The cafe outside emptied, the storm subsided, but Mara didn't notice. For the first time, she felt like she mattered, like someone had truly seen her struggle and was willing to walk with her through it. Finally, Gregory stood and extended his hand. "I don't want to just fix your balance," he said. I want to help you build something lasting so you never feel this powerless again." Mara took his hand, gripping it with gratitude she could barely express. Tears blurred her vision, but she smiled. I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. He shook his head, smiling warmly. "Just promise me one thing. Keep believing in yourself, Mara. That's the only thanks I need." As she walked back into the city streets later that night, the rain had stopped, leaving the pavement glistening under the streetlights. Mara's heart felt lighter than it had in years. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was being given a chance to thrive. And for the first time in a long time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, life could be as generous as she had always hoped. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Because kindness, second chances, and hope are worth celebrating. And before you go, remember this. Sometimes the smallest act of courage, like asking to see your balance, can change everything.